Welcome back, everyone, to Mindful Leadership Beyond Borders. And our fascinating guest is Amy Weinland Daughters, and she's known as the letter writing lady. Wow. Raj and I are just having so much fun speaking with Amy on and off camera because there's a lot to this lost art. So, Amy, I'm curious about who in your past had a profound impact on you that may have resulted in this letter writing.
Right. I got brought up by a dad who he's a straight-laced businessman, engineer, but he was never afraid. Like if he had a crazy idea, he would not just talk about it, he would actually do it. Like he had a camp for his grandchildren. He did a financial seminar for his kids. He had all these ideas. He started a business, but so he never sat down and said, Amy, if you come up with something crazy, you should follow through and do it. It was an example that I found in my
Wow.
own life that I've done several things that I don't think I would have done without that example. And I had the
Mm-hmm.
confidence when I was inspired to write the letters, even though, letter
Mm-hmm.
writing makes you feel vulnerable. Every time you sit down to write it, something that gets tapped into your humans, like I'm really going to share this much in writing. And so I think those hurdles for me were, I got over them easier just because of my dad's example. And I do credit a lot of this to just that inspiration from my father. And I think
Mm.
one of the things I'm proudest about of the story is that I did finish the letter writing, that I did believe in myself enough just to take one step forward, because I believe we all have an idea, a great idea somewhere inside of us. If we would just believe ourselves for one to take enough one step forward, I think the world would be a completely different place.
And taking the time to do it. Everybody's so busy,
Mhm.
and it's much faster to text or do something in email, but to go and get a card or make a card. I love making cards, and
Right.
then writing out and so on. During the pause, Raj had a very important point that I'd like to discuss. He said, um, you can, in an email or a text, you can say, I love you, but it won't have the same impact that a handwritten letter will with your own handwriting, right? And when you say I love you, I mean they're seeing it in their own handwriting. It's so powerful. And then Rod said when he was younger, he used to put spray the letters with perfume and and maybe put in some dried flowers, like pansies or something like that. I mean, what's your thought about that, Amy? The discussion on the emotion that can be brought out in a handwritten letter versus texting or emailing.
Right. And I think it means more because you took the time to write it down. It was that important that you had to take that time and to sacrifice your time to write it down. And then it's something they can hold on to for the rest of their lives. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever received
Mm-hmm.
a meaningful text and you just keep
Mm-hmm.
looking back at it, like you get your phone back
Mm-hmm.
out and be like, oh,
Yeah.
and you scroll back and like, that's beautiful. But when you give someone the gift of writing
Mm-hmm.
it in hand, and I love what you said,
Mm-hmm.
Raj, that people run around and say it, I love you, I love you, I love you. But when you take the time to write it down in ink in your own handwriting, which is a reflection on your
Yeah.
personality, and it's not perfect, it hits harder, it means more. And I think again, it taps into
Mm-hmm.
this human need we have to matter to someone else.
Wow, it's so important. Amy, in my filing cabinet behind me here, I don't know how big my file is now. It's what do I call it? Special events or special gifts or something. And it's all the wonderful cards I've received in my life and letters I've received that that were extra special because if I kept them all, it would be a whole filing cabinet, right? But
Right.
this is it is quite large, and it's a very special thing to go through it. It could be birthdays or Christmas or receiving something, a letter from someone just out of the blue when you weren't expecting it. You know.
Right. And that's the thing. We have this power. All of us have this in our human toolkits, this incredibly powerful tool to do just that, that to give
Yeah.
somebody a gift, especially in the world that we're in
Mm,
right now with AI
yeah.
and everything. You have the power to give someone this gift And that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's a gift. And
Yeah.
I really think rather than, I mean, other than sending someone, a thousand
Hmm.
dollars in the mail, this has more power than almost anything. And that's what I did not
Wow.
realize. And I think since I was so non-intentional and found out by accident, that just
Hmm.
blew me away over and over and over again. These responses I got from people of how much it meant to them, especially when
Yeah.
you're sincere in what you have to
Yeah.
say. And I
Yeah.
think it's really important to point out, and I said this earlier, but there's two elements of my story that I think kind of hold people back. Is that one, I was a writer going into it. You don't have to be a writer to write meaningful notes, and you don't have to do it 600
Yeah.
times, and it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be 2 pages. So all you need is a human heart, some sincerity, and about 15 minutes of your time to pull this off.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all you need. And you can do it in 2 sentences, you can do it in 2 pages, you can do it in 9 words, and it has the same
Hmm.
impact.
And even if if you don't have the right paper, like sometimes we have, I use the backs of, printed paper so I don't throw it out. I'm using both sides of the paper. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? People will
No.
still appreciate it. Yeah. But
Yeah,
And,
how,
and
Amy, go ahead, Raj, go ahead.
I recall one thing when we have hard time or emotional weak time, so we go our library or like store and
Mm,
we check the letter and then read, then feel very happy and very
mm,
powerful from our
mm-hmm.
inside, na?
Yeah, for sure, for
right.
sure.
And that's part of the gift. And I've had people tell me, you know, I get your letter out every once in a while and I read it just because, like, just what you just said, Raj, just because that's how it made them feel, better. It made them feel like
Hmm.
I think it comes back to they felt valued and seen and that they mattered.
Yeah,
And so when we're going through a rough time,
yeah.
we want to know that matters to someone.
Hmm.
Like one
Exactly.
more example, like for example, Betska given me for one locket. It's like $1 locket, for example, pendant, and
Mm-hmm.
she and written there, love you, yeah, care you. So we will keep whole life these.
Oh,
Mm.
It's not matter
Yeah.
of money, it's matter of love, care, and we are
Hmm.
throwing $5,000 mobile every 2 year. What is the
Hmm.
difference between this locket and then technology mobile?
Oh, a huge difference. Yeah. So, Amy, question for you about how do you encourage, like, how can people integrate handwritten note writing into their regular lives, whether it's at home or at work? And I think let's divide those two because handwritten notes at work can have a seriously profound impact on workers, on their employees, right?
oh, absolutely. Just employee engagement, we know is an awful state. People, yeah,
Yeah,
but I read something today that in the United States, 56% of employees don't feel valued by their organization.
yeah,
And this
wow.
is such a simple tool, and all it
Mm,
requires you to do is look at the people around you. It makes you a better leader too. But you can
mm-hmm,
use it upwards, downwards, sideways in an organization. But I've seen so many examples. I spoke to someone who had started out his career as a nurse and he worked at this major hospital group, and he went to a meeting and he had this idea and he shared it with everyone, and then the CEO of the company sent him a handwritten note. It was like 6 sentences. It was like, that idea you had in the meeting was incredible. You're such a difference maker. I can't wait to see what you do uh,
wow.
at our hospital. And so I'm talking to this guy on a podcast and he's telling me the story. And he said, that was 10 years ago. And I'll tell you how much it meant to me. He said, my nightstand is right behind me, and that note is still sitting in the nightstand from 10 years ago.
Wow. Holy
And
cow. Look at that.
so you talk about
Yeah.
retention, you talk about employee satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
you talk about
Mm.
productivity. There is real numbers behind what empirical, values of how someone who feels more value and engaged, how much better they perform at work. And on the other side, as the manager or the person writing the note, you're going to manage people differently when you look at them through this handwritten mindset. Because when you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a reason to write somebody a handwritten note, it changes the way you look at the whole world.
Yeah, for sure. So You mentioned the word science. Like, is there a science? Is this backed by science? Have people done, any research on this, on
Well,
handwriting and the impact of it?
yeah, as far as the handwriting, it does open up the two sides of your brain because there's,
Yeah.
there's the visual, there's the forming the
Hmm.
letters on the page, there's the
Yeah.
slowing down and having to
Hmm.
be more deliberate with your words. And there's I think it's a psychology journal found that people who hand wrote notes or hand did a handwriting journal that they showed a 20% reduction in stress and a 20% increase in emotional clarity. So
Ah, okay.
but then
Yeah.
there's a lot of numbers associated with people feeling valued, like what
Hmm.
what like
Mm.
in within organizations, there's 78% less absenteeism,
Hmm.
big numbers like 58% increased retention, and billions
Mm.
of dollars saved just by people feeling valued.
Yeah.
And the handwritten
Yeah.
note's just a little tool that can be used in an organization or in
Hmm.
a personal life. And my recommendation on how to implement this is
Hmm.
it's like your personality. It's got to fit your personality, and
Mm.
you're gonna have to jump over the hurdles of
Hmm.
feeling vulnerable and feeling like nobody does this because I felt all those
Hmm.
things. But what I do both for my personal and my work little notes is I keep a journal by my desk. It's right here. And it's got little tabs on it. It's like support, sympathy, congratulations. And as I see someone either on social media or in real life that's gone through something, I write it down. I write their name down in that section. And every morning when I get up to write my little 5 or 6 line note, I pull it out of here and I'm like, hey, congratulations on Raj
Mm.
got promoted, or Betska, congratulations on your new grandchild. Or, we
Hmm.
were in that meeting yesterday in Betska and your idea changed everything. It can be
Mm.
that short. And so
Mm.
I'm ready to write those notes. And that can be integrated in an organization. You can put that notebook and make it a work thing, get your eyes
Hmm.
and ears out there, have people 2 rungs below you, sides you, helping you look for things to write notes about. And then it absolutely can be used personally. I use it both ways.
Another really, you've probably done this yourself, but if you're in the workplace, you can take little post-it notes, and if someone's done a great job, you can write a little note on a post-it note, sign it, and go and put it on their cubicle door, or on something, some document that they've created or whatever, right? Just, I mean, the impact, something so simple, the impact could be everlasting, especially if someone's having a rough day.
Right.
They've
Right.
had trouble at home or whatever, and the manager is saying, "Hey, I care about you." Holy cow! It would make a big, big difference to that employee.
Well, like
Yes.
you said, especially at the workplace. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Raj.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. We're talking.
Yeah. You carry on.
Well, I was just going to say, people know you don't have enough time at work. They know that
Yeah.
leaders and fellow coworkers are busy. They know that, and
Hmm.
so it just amps up the value. Like I'm this important to this
Yeah.
organization. I'm this important that someone would take the time to do that
Yes.
for me. And I 100% agree.
Mm.
The sticky note is a great
Mm.
example because it's the same
Yeah.
feeling of value, and they're going to leave the sticky note up. Is the thing. As
They
much as
will.
you have the file
Yeah.
of letters. I worked with a
Yeah.
group of women leaders, and this woman had like 2,000 people who worked for her, and she said she really had to push herself to do it. So she started writing one little note a week to an employee, and then she did two. And she said after about 8 months, she walked around all these cubicles, and these notes were hung up like badges of honor. Like if you
Oh.
got one of these notes, you were somebody. And she was just recognizing what in an 8 month period, what she recognized 20 people maybe, and then other people are seeing that. I mean, it creates a different culture, is what it
Yeah.
does. I'm sorry, I spoke
Ah.
over you, Raj.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. As two women, we're taking over Raj's space here.
Yeah, Raj. Sorry, Raj.
No,
It's just so
caring,
fascinating.
caring is very beautiful feeling and important
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
your
Definitely.
subordinate. Even for example, if I'm working with you and you are my senior also, and if your health is not well, so it's my duty. So I will ask you, you need tea, you need medicine, how are you feeling
Oh,
now?
yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
are working long hour, 8 hour, 9 hour. So we can take care each other in a very nice
Mhm.
way. But
Right.
people are less bothered about these things. They are very harsh. Some people are very
Yeah.
rude. They said, we don't care about your problem. We want only work. So this is not the good way to treat people.
Mm.
I can understand some people are always have excuse. So you realize who's the right and who's the wrong people. So you treat
Right.
according to the person to person, not you treat everyone like the same.
Yeah. Got it. One of the things we ask our guests is what makes you unique, and I want to read to you what Amy wrote. It was kind of sweet. She said, "While I am just a regular, flawed, messed up, beautiful, well-intentioned human being, I'm not afraid to take on a crazy project, and then I'm determined enough to finish it." Well, Amy, you have certainly done that with this letter writing. I'm going to say campaign, but it's not really a campaign. It's a loving gesture, letter writing, loving gesture to the people that you know. So thank you for coming on our podcast today, for introducing Raj and I and all of our viewers and listeners. This was fabulous. Thank you.
Beautiful glass.
Well, thank you, because I know for me, I just want to share the story, and you guys are visionaries that you would look at this letter writing topic and want to talk to me about it, because I think that is a step. It has to be received by the people who see the value in it. So I
Yeah.
so appreciate the opportunity to connect with both of you guys and your audience.
Well, come back anytime if you've got more stories to tell or whatever. We'd love to continue this discussion. It was fabulous. Thank you, Amy. God bless
Thank
Thank
you.
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 Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.